Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You are here live with Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and we are so excited that you're here today. I'm Dr. Patience Jackson Rose, and we have a very, very special Focus Friday today. We've been talking about decision-making excellence over the last 4 weeks or so, and we today are going to jump into an episode that really dissects the concept of decision fatigue. It's a real thing. And I want you to understand that there's only one way for us to avoid burnout, and have peak productivity is when we attack our decision fatigue. And so with that said, we're going to jump right in today. And if you'll bring up my slides, please, we want to make sure that we use all of our time. On Fridays, we're not here very long. And so we want to just maximize the time today and really understand what we're talking about. So decision making is really something that we've been learning more about. And I didn't come to this party with all the knowledge. I had to do the research, so that I could really unpack it for everyone that's in the audience. And so when we're talking about decision fatigue, it's really a state of mental exhaustion. And it's caused by making too many decisions. Now, I know that seems like a conundrum because we have to make decisions and sometimes we have to make a lot of them. But the concept here is that there is a way that you can structure your decision making where you really are doing it excellently and you're causing yourself to wait until the most appropriate time to make some decisions, because when you are so fatigued that you are not able to make a good decision, it leads to poor decision making. So the decision that you make may not really, yield you the result that you were looking for. And it also could lead to decreased productivity and also increased stress. And so what we're looking for today is we're looking at ways that we can create for ourselves a process that will allow us to use our tools at the best possible time so that we can get the best possible outcome. So what is decision fatigue? Well, decision fatigue is when you have mental exhaustion. It occurs when the brain's resources become depleted from making choices. And I want to tell you that this sometimes can be masked as brain fog. I've seen other people, say that, they're just really tired. And it's really that their body may not be as tired as their brain is. Okay. And so the mental exhaustion can really, provide a slew of symptoms that you may not even really realize what is going on. So, sometimes you can't remember things or you can't remember things as quickly, or it takes a lot for you to be able to put things together. People ask you questions and you have to ask over and over again, can you repeat that please? Or, can you tell me what you were trying to get again? And so the mental exhaustion sometimes can be misappropriated or even misidentified. And so understand that we have to be so in tune with ourselves to know what's going on and to really attribute it to the right thing when it comes to decision fatigue, because it can really be misdiagnosed or misidentified, as I stated before. And then cognitive overload. Every decision, big or small, drains mental energy. I don't know if anyone has ever been there, but I tell you, there are some days and have been days where, for whatever reason, I've reached this point of the fatigue where sometimes, it doesn't matter what the decision is. I have to say, hold on, can we make a decision on this later? Or can I stick a pin in that? Can we come back to it? Can we circle back around? I find myself saying those things, and that makes me understand what's happening inside me at that point is I'm having a drain of mental energy. And it does lead to almost a decline or a diminishing of my cognitive abilities. And so me going back and looking at the situation later and saying, okay, you know what, this really was a decision fatigue scenario. I didn't even realize that that's what was going on based on how things were playing out. But now that I have more information, I'm able to say, okay, this is a time where I just need to take a break. Okay, take a nap and then come back to this later, or take a break, take a walk, or take a bio break, get some water, whatever it is that I need to do. But I need to kind of back out of the decisions that need to be made in that minute if I can, so that when I do come back, I'm refreshed and really on my game and can really come back with, something that makes sense for what it is that we're trying to accomplish at the time. And then, decision fatigue can also have an impact on the quality of work, or the quality of a decision that you're making. Okay. As the fatigue sets in, sometimes your decisions become more impulsive and potentially they're not going to give you, the efficacy that you were looking for, so you want to really think about this from the standpoint of what's most important, what is the impact of the decision fatigue on my productivity? How can I make sure that I am not allowing my tiredness, my mental tiredness to impact the company right now? So let's look at these 4 areas, that we talked about, but I just want to unpack them just a little bit more. The decrease in productivity, the slower decision making, the increased errors from the decisions that we made, and the burnout and stress. And so how can we really see these things, when they're happening? Where is it that we can, pull from in our, community that will help us to notice or to become more aware of when this is occurring? Well, of course, decreased productivity is pretty easy for most people to see, but sometimes when you're tired, or when you're in a state of decision fatigue, you may not see it. And so having the feedback from the others who are around you, or even the feedback from your tech, sometimes that can help you to understand what's going on. I have all types of analytics that are tied to things that I do, and the analytics will point to times when I was more on my game and things were actually able to, close faster, or for that matter, I was able to complete full task and, in less time. Those things are very easy to track when you use your business intelligence and your analytics. And then also, I can go back and look at how many times something had to pass back by my desk because of there being an error in the manuscript or an error in the process itself. And so I can point to, okay, this was done late at night, or I did this at a time when I was completely off my game, which means that there was just way too much happening. Sometimes I'll have 16 meetings in 18 hours. Okay. No, seriously. It's been that way where I've done 11 hours of meetings back to back. And I noticed that when I try to do paperwork after something like that has happened, many times there are errors. And so I have had to make myself have a schedule where there are days that I do paperwork and don't talk to anybody, if possible, and just focus in on the tasks that require me to be mentally aware and to make sure that I can get those things done. But I also noticed that, the burnout and stress rate is real. And when I am not able to, and I'm just talking about me, I want you to focus in on you. But when I'm not able to really, see days where I can have like a full day off, or, I can take a vacation, or 3 days to just kind of, reset my mind and refocus my attention. I run into these decision fatigue moments. And so I will say to you that, this is something that's, becoming more and more easy for me, or I should say easier for me to notice for myself. But I had to first get help from other people who noticed it. And they were telling me, you look really tired right now, or you sound like you need to take a break. And so you can do the same thing. If you're not able to really see whether or not you're having an issue with decision fatigue, check your community, check the people around you, check your team, ask your husband or ask your wife or, ask your kids, am I making a lot of mistakes or did you notice this or that? Because they can give you cues that will give you the ability to become more aware of yourself. Okay, in situations. And so what are some of the strategies we can use to prevent decision fatigue? Well, we can establish routine and structure. And in a minute, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to do a whole example so that you can understand what it means to establish the routine and structure, what kind of activities go into a routine. Okay. But you can set up a consistency in daily activities and it'll reduce the need for constant decision making. We talked about habits before, and forming habits gives your brain the ability to save effort. And so when your habits serve you, then you don't have to concern yourself with having to make so many decisions over things that you do over and over and over again. And this is something that becomes a very big deal when you have lots of decisions to make. The higher you go up into, becoming an executive in your company, or if you are the CEO, you are the founder, or you are the COO, the more, the higher potential, you have for you to end up in a situation where decision fatigue becomes an issue. So when you're able to establish structure in your life and you have certain things that are routines, it creates for you the ability to not have to manage so many changes. And this is something that I want you to really think about because it is a real thing. People that have difficulty managing change or managing, I should say situations, they end up, being, unfortunately more fatigued than others. Okay, so let's take a look at how we can prioritize our important decisions, because that also is a thing. Being able to, have a priority list, so you can focus in on the significant choices, the priorities, okay, and allow for less crucial ones to be automated or for somebody else to make the decision. You don't have to decide everything in your company. You could authorize or give what we call delegated authority to others to make decisions on things that don't require your attention. It's so important for you to understand how to let go. This weekend, I talked about, being at a business mastery retreat, and one of my biggest takeaways was that I was able to figure out that there's some things that even though I like doing them, I love doing them, they are things that I absolutely am passionate about. I don't have to do them. I can focus in on the things that I'm also passionate about, but that are at a higher level of importance in the life of my community and the life of my clients. So I made an executive decision that there were certain things that I was going to not just pass off, but outsource completely and let the clients know that I'm outsourcing this. We will no longer be providing this service. However, we will be working with the firm that's providing the service so we can make sure that you get good services and that they coordinate with us so that we are providing you very good advisory services. Now that was a huge, huge decision, but talking about the relief that I had to be able to say, okay, we're no longer doing that, not because we can't, not because we're not good at it, not because it's not a great service to offer, not because it's not lucrative, but because it's best that we don't do it so that we can concentrate on the niche things that we do and do those better. Okay. Big decision. All right. Now, delegate and automate decisions. When we're talking about, the freeing up of our mental energy so that we can entrust the task to, again, outsource it to some other company or outsource it to another person, or give the process over to technology. These are really very important decisions, and they're decisions that, when you take the time to really inform yourself of everything that surrounds it to make sure that you're making a good decision when you do it, it can change your life and it can alter even the trajectory of your company. And so I want you to be thinking about what you can do, to strategize the decisions that you are having to make so that you don't contribute to things that could cause decision fatigue. All right, so let's look at an example. Establish routine and structure. Well, minimize choice. One way is simplify your morning routine by choosing your outfit the night before. I know that seems like a really simple thing, and I know you probably can hear your mother ringing in your ears saying, get your clothes out the night before. Well, I do get that a lot of us are very creative, and based on what the weather is and what we've got to do that day, we want to be able to go to the closet and say, oh, what will I wear today? But there are some people who really have angst, a lot of angst about a simple decision like that. And it might take them 30 to 45 minutes to figure out the design choice of the day. So unless you're willing to get up 30 to 40 minutes earlier so you can make that decision, it might be best utilized, the time itself might be best utilized for you to make the decision the night before. Sometimes when I've had a lot of clothes in my closet, I don't have a lot of clothes in my closet at this location where I am right now, but sometimes, in one of my other locations where we stay, I, have had a lot of clothes. And so I'll go through and say, this week, these are the design choices, and I'll pull all of my week's worth of clothes together on a Saturday, okay, so that when it's time for me to roll out in that on Monday, my whole situation is different. I'm not having to spend, 30 minutes, even 40 minutes, or for that matter, even 15 minutes, because I already know what I'm wearing. It's just, okay, here you go. And I can go right into my morning routine and know that it now has been simplified, and I'm not having to deal with, oh man, there's a button that fell off that shirt. Man, I didn't even realize that. Oh gosh, now I got to go find a needle and thread, or I've got to choose a different outfit. It's not that way because you've done all of the prep. Let me just give you another choice that I've minimized. I already have a bag packed because I travel a lot. So these are the particular things that I already have in the bag so that I don't have to concern myself with packing, certain items. So I already have a makeup bag already packed that has just the smaller amount of makeup that I'm going to need on a trip of 3 to 5 or even 7 days. I already have vitamins for that amount of time in the bag. I already have my toiletries in the bag. So that's going to be a smaller amount of body wash and lotion, oils that I use, and, other types of things from my toiletries that I would need. That's all in a little pouch that's inside of my bag already ready. And to tell you this might not be something that you've thought about, but I think about this. I already have the underwear as well as my pajamas that I'm going to wear on a 3 to 5 or 7 day trip. So that's already in the bag. So that means that the only thing that I have to come to the bag with is what I'm actually wearing as an outfit. Okay. And if I'm taking scarves or hats or whatever, that's the only other thing that I have to do, because my jewelry, oh yeah, I've got travel jewelry. I do. I have travel jewelry. Why do I have travel jewelry? Because I don't want to lose my good stuff, going through some place where someone absolutely is not very conscious of things that they do, and they maybe decide they want to take it, or maybe I have too many things and I drop something. It's not something that's going to be of such value that I am torn up about it or have to replace it. So I have travel jewelry that really didn't cost me much, that looks great. Okay. And that matches just about anything. And I have a little pouch that I put that in, and that goes already in the bag, so that when it's time for me to pack, the only thing I'm packing is the clothes that I'm going to need to wear on the trip. I'm hoping one day to get to a point of where I can actually have my travel bag already packed, period, because I'll have 3 to 5 days worth of clothing out of 9 outfits or 9 items. And I know how to do it. I just have to replenish my supply of those types of items for winter, because I have it for summer and I do have it, for spring. So, I just really got into this, minimizing of choices this year. And so this is a new process for me. So now that I am going to replenish my supply for winter so that I can have that already in the bag, that's one more choice that I won't have to make. Why am I sharing this? Because I want you to not have to have your brain so focused on, oh man, I got to go pack, and it becomes an ordeal. Well, if you don't have that as an ordeal, that's one less choice. One less choice. Okay. Setting clear goals. Well, this is a real big deal for making sure that you can have decision-making excellence. When you're able to define specific daily objectives to guide your actions and to reduce indecision. Oh, let me say that again. This is a big, big deal. Defining specific daily objectives to guide the actions that you're going to have in a day, but it reduces the indecision. I am one who had another life, okay, before I became a business strategist, before I became a management accountant, before I became a business advisor. I had a whole life in education. And when I was in education, I actually taught 2 classes of students. One were, and I'm not talking about ages, I'm talking about classes in this respect. One set of students that I taught were students who were to be considered gifted, meaning that they were the gifted and talented. They were the mentally gifted minded. They were the students who were working 2 to 3 grade levels above, in every subject. So it wasn't a situation where they were maybe 6th grade in math when they were in the 3rd grade. No, these are students who probably could have been skipped a couple of grades if their parents would have allowed it, and so because of teaching those types of students, a lot of times I had to set goals and objectives for them, on a plan. Some of you guys are familiar with the 504 plan that we use for students who have special needs. And so I also taught special needs students and had to do the individualized education plan, for students who had, certain types of special needs, whether it be that they had, dyslexia or were diagnosed with, some particular learning disability or physical disability. Those students fell into my purview if they were in a special school, or even if they were in regular schools that had what we call inclusion. I had to opt the opportunity. I was blessed to be able to work with them, and I gained a lot of skill sets because of it, because we had the individualized plans for students who were gifted, just like we had the individualized education plans for students who had disabilities. What we called disabilities back then. Now I call them abilities, because of course there are other things that we now have learned about the things that students who had to work twice as hard to do things have created. And so these processes that students who are in that situation created are amazing processes. And that generally will tell us that they are working probably far above most other students, because they had to work twice or 3 times as hard to get the same stuff done. So, but what that taught me is that, in my own life, I could set goals and objectives and have outcome indicators that would measure, how far I had come, or if I actually completed the task. And so when you're able to define some specific daily objectives that are attached to the goals that you're trying to meet for that day, it really not only does it reduce your indecision, but it also improves the quality of your work and life. Okay. And I am so serious about this, because I've watched it happen, not just with my own self, but with other people that I coach. And so this is really important. And then, of course, just plan your day. This is another one of those things that people have a difficult time with, because they'll have a schedule and they'll think that having a schedule of tasks is planning their day. And these two things, although one does fit inside the other, it is not the same thing. So understanding that you got to create a framework okay, for the day. That means that yes, you create an opportunity for you to have a schedule or not. There are some days that I don't have anything scheduled. I come into the day without everything fitting into a separate set of blocks. And there's a reason. I have the framework for the day. I know that what I want to accomplish today is this, but I may not have it all from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm going to work on this. And from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm going to work on this. And then I'm going to take a 12 noon lunch, and then I'll be back working on something else at 1 o'clock. Because that, for me, because of the type of, personality I have and the ability to create, what I need to create in that day may not allow for me to have it all in these little bitty blocks. It may mean that I have a range of time that's in my framework that I can work and have the freedom to move about from this to this so that I can become, productive, at making sure that I finish what I was trying to do. And let me tell you, there have been days that I have done that, and I've created 2 or 3 websites that day. Okay. I've, come up with some intellectual property that day. I have, fleshed out all of the processes and procedures for, a particular new phase that we're going in. Frameworks are the hit for me. And I am saying to you that it does reduce spontaneous decisions when you have a framework. Sometimes you don't need to make spontaneous decisions. And sometimes in the day where I am doing certain things, my decisions are really a lot less when I don't have these spaces of time, because I don't have to think about, okay, you know what, it looks like I'm not finishing it in this time and now I got to jump to something else. I don't have that kind of anxiety. And so because I don't have that kind of anxiety, I'm able to really, work through, everything that is necessary for me, to be doing in that time frame. So how do we prioritize some important decisions? Well, these 3 areas here, I think that they will kind of help you. Identify your key decisions. What are the key things that I need to be deciding today? What choices do I need to make? And that will have the biggest impact on the goals that I have, okay, and the well-being of my company. And I'm telling you that when I walk into the realm of decision-making excellence, with that as the first thing on my mind, on those days when I do have a schedule, back-to-back appointments, my decisions are not hindered because I have prioritized the choices down to what are the things that I absolutely have to decide that are going to have a big impact on what we're doing, okay, and the well-being of the company overall. How do I allocate my time and my energy? And I know this is good stuff, guys. I know it's good stuff because this is what I have had to do, and this is what I've seen my clients do. And this is what I've seen people that I honor and respect and are my mentors. This is what I've seen them do. How do I invest more time and effort in making thoughtful decisions for high priority tasks? How do I get there? This is a real, special kind of skill set. When you're able to decide, okay, it's going to take me 8 hours to get everything done today, but how do I allocate the time and the energy, into the part that's going to be the thoughtful part of what I need to do. And in doing that, what does it mean, in terms of the tasks that I have, for getting me back into a place of where I am very coordinated and everything is working as a well-oiled machine. Okay. And then how do I delegate or automate less critical choices? Which are the things that I should delegate? And I know that I've seen people that are stuck there trying to figure out, how do I free up the mental resources by delegating or automating the decisions that are less important? Which one of those things goes on that list? And so you might start off with a list of 25 things that need to be done, and only 10 of those can be delegated because of the kinds of things they are. Maybe the rest of those things that are there have to be done by you you or your team that's your immediate executive team. But the other things, you can, okay, these things can be delegated. Now, who's the person that gets them? Is this a technology thing or is this a person thing? And once you figure out all of those things, now you're able to move forward in a way that is very powerful and productive for you. And then how do we delegate, and automate? What is the path for that? So you create checklists. I mean, I love checklists. I do checklists inside of my notes app on my phone and also in my iPad. And I actually can open it up on my computer and really, kind of flesh the list out a little more. But you can standardize recurring decisions with a checklist. You can have a checklist template for certain things to eliminate the need for, again, constant choices. You have, these are the things that need to be done, and these are the choices within the choices that can be made, and these are the ones that I'm going to actually focus in on. And when you have those checklists set up that way, it really helps you to delegate, to technology or to another human being, the choices that you might not have to do yourself, and that you can understand how you can do that or why you could do it. Okay. So as you're delegating those tasks, you're empowering others, to make decisions in their area of expertise. Because when you're looking at the things that need to be done, I can tell you what happens for me. I don't know about what can happen for you, but for me, I'm already seeing in my mind who can do it. So it's like, okay, I've got my choices, I've got the delegated choices or the choices to delegate, and then I've got the potential people that I can delegate those choices to. And when I'm looking at those three columns, I can actually draw lines, okay? Because already in my mind, I'm seeing it. Oh, I can give that to this person, or I can give that to that person, or, oh, this is something my tech can do. And now I'm really more comfortable in my decision-making excellence because I have actually limited the amount of decisions that I have to make. And those that I'm limited to, I've limited them to the decisions that, only I can make. Okay. All right. And then, of course, when you're automating the processes and you're using technology, you figured out, okay, these are the things that go to a person in that third column. And you actually can put the T next to the things that can go to your tech. You can now have some tech, handle those routine things, and eliminate the need for repetitive decision making. Again, freeing your mind up to make the excellent decisions that you can make when you don't have so much to work with. Okay. All right. So let's look at these key takeaways. Well, when you're able to implement strategies to prevent decision fatigue, you can improve your productivity, reduce your stress, and enhance your overall well-being. You can now prioritize the important decisions and delegate and automate tasks, and whether that's going to be to a human or whether it's going to be to your technology, but you now can create the structure in your day or the framework in your day that will absolutely lead you to being more excellent in everything that you do. Well, this has been Dr. Patience Rose with Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and we will see you again next time.